Welcome once again to 26 North Halsted. I'm your host, George Blaze. You know, the city of Chicago has spent millions of dollars over the past few years settling cases involving police misconduct and things that are happening to people while in police custody. So it's probably a good time right now, as it always has been, to take a look at and analyze people's civil rights, what happens in police custody, and maybe compare it to what's going on in other regions. Fresh from a fact-finding mission to Europe is my good friend Brendan Shiller, civil rights attorney. Brendan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, George.
It's one of the big impacts, things that are impacting the Chicago city budget is having to settle these multi-million-dollar police misconduct cases. I mean, is it as big a problem for the city as I'm painting here, or am I exaggerating a little bit?
Oh, I think it's a big problem. I think the current administration would say that much of the money they're paying out was due to past practices and past administrations. We'll see whether time will tell whether that's true. There was clearly an era during the 80s and 90s of mass torture of black men, large false confessions, therefore false convictions, which have resulted in multi-million-dollar payouts that the city's still paying for now. I would argue that there's still many issues at the police station that may result in future false convictions and future payouts.
And while we're on the topic, I mean, there's some things in terms of just technology right now that there's some cross-jurisdictional ways of gathering information and intelligence on people using cellular phones and what have you. The federal government has asked to suppress some of the information in terms of the court cases when it gets to court. What's going on here, and is this something people should be concerned about?
Well, in that arena, there's a variety of things going on. There's new technology that local police stations are buying. In fact, there was a lawsuit just filed by the People's Law Office to try to stop the Chicago police from using technology that would just allow them to spy on people's cell phones without a warrant. There's obviously technology's changing rapidly. There's a national debate which has been going on now since 9/11 in terms of the breadth of NSA spying and really intensified after Eric Snowden. But there's a local debate in terms of that. But it's an interesting juxtaposition because the issue we were studying in Europe had to do with false confessions and how confessions really are a very weak piece of investigative use of investigative evidence. And in fact, there's all this other technological advances, physical evidence that police can use that really get you to the right people. So it's an interesting balance. We don't want invasion of privacy,
right,
but we do want police actually using legitimate investigative techniques instead of beating people up to get false confessions.
Which is we hope a thing of the past for the most part. I mean, you're going to have a couple of bad apples in a pile wherever you go, but hopefully to the extent that it was in the 70s and 80s has reduced.